So the most often used phrase I've heard in the last week or two is that this year is going to be different. And it's normally followed with things like, it is what it is, this Rosh Hashanah just can't be the same as always, we just can't make it happen like we do always. And I actually agree with that. It won't be the same. But not quite in the same sense as many people say it. This Rosh Hashanah will not be the same, and it cannot be the same, because it's going to be much more powerful and far greater. We can do it. We can make it deeper, more meaningful, and extremely powerful. To do that, we just need to understand a few historical things that happened on Rosh Hashanah. The first thing we need to know is that way back in biblical times, in the story of Yosef HaTzadik, Joseph, when he was sold by his brothers and he went down to Egypt, he was imprisoned, he was languishing in jail. And then suddenly, in an instant, things changed. Pharaoh had dreams, Pharaoh called the interpreters, they couldn't interpret the dream, and then the butler remembered that there was a Jewish slave in prison that could interpret dreams, and within a very short span of time, Yosef was schlepped out of jail, came to the palace, and transitioned from being a prisoner to the viceroy of Egypt. Amazing freedom. When did that happen? On Rosh Hashanah. Another historical episode on Rosh Hashanah. The story which we read on the first day in the Haftarah, the story of Hannah. Hannah was the mother of the prophet Samuel. She was one of the wives of her husband. She didn't have children. She was infertile. She used to go with her husband to the tabernacle, to the Mishkan, to Shiloh, to pray to God. And one Rosh Hashanah they were there, and she was dejected. She was broken. She was bitter. She was upset. They had a family meal from the sacrificial meat, and she refused to eat. And then the verse says, Vatakom Hannah. Hannah got up, and she went to pray. She prayed with sincerity. She prayed from the depth of the heart. And her prayers were answered. Samuel was eventually born, and he became the great Navi, the great prophet, Shmuel HaNavi. And the commentaries ask, why does the pasuk, why does the verse need to add the word Vatakom, she got up? Obviously, she didn't pray at the table. It says that she went and she stood before God in the Holy of Holies, and she prayed. Why does it have to say she got up? And the commentaries explain the following. She got up means she let go of her bitterness. She let go of her sadness. She let go of her dejection. She put herself together, and she revealed within her confidence, trust in God, and she went to pray. And it was only because Vatakam Chana, she got up away from her upsetness. She got up away from her legitimate bitterness. But she prayed to God with confidence, finding inner strength, finding the inner power of the soul, that her prayers were actually answered. And these two episodes are very much connected, because Rosh Hashanah is the time that we could free ourselves from the past. Yosef came out of jail on Rosh Hashanah. We all can come out of jail on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the time that we connect with the inner essence of who we are, the spark of our soul, the place where real freedom lives. When we connect with who we really are, we are free from everything. Nothing stands in the way. We reveal a strength and a resilience which is infinite and limitless. Hannah, later on, in many generations later, Hannah was able to do this. Hannah was able to let go of legitimate sadness and find the inner freedom to stand before God, not in a bitter way, but in a confident way, with inner happiness, with joy, and say to God, I know you can do this. I know you can do the impossible. Grant me a son. Grant me the blessing. Years later, at the very, very beginning of the Second Temple, which was built about 350 before the Common Era, when the great Ezra came back to Jerusalem and found the community there and built the temple. And on the first Rosh Hashanah, he gathered the people who he had found had assimilated, had become part of the non-Jewish culture and the assimilated culture and the pagan culture of the time. And he spoke to them, and he begged them to shift. He begged them to be aroused to tshuva, to make a change within them. And his words were effective. They were so effective that the people felt guilty and they felt sad and they felt this yearning and need to shift and to make a change and to come closer to God. And then Ezra said the famous words. He said, Al te'atzvu, do not be sad. Rosh Hashanah is not a time for sadness. It's a time for change. It's a time for inner freedom. It's a time for prayer. It's a time for connection. It's a solemn time. But it's not a time for sadness. And he told them, Al te'atzvu, do not be sad. Go home, eat a festive meal. Ichlu mashmanim, eat good food. Shtu mamtakim, drink good drinks. Ki chedvat Hashem hima uschem, because the happiness of God is your strength. This is a day of strength. This is a day where you need to be confident. This is a day you need to be optimistic. This is a day you can be happy and optimistic. So when we come to this Rosh Hashanah, after a year of challenges, we come to Rosh Hashanah with a feeling of how do we create a meaningful Rosh Hashanah in this context? How do we make it happen? We need to do a few things. We need to free ourselves from our own jail. We need, like Yosef, to come out of our jail, to leave it all behind, to build up happiness, to build up confidence. Vatakom Chana, Chana got up. She moved away from feeling trapped. She moved away from feeling limited. She moved away from anything that would stand in the way. And she said, I can do this. I can find the strength to be optimistic and have trust and faith to make it happen. We can be like Hannah. We can be like Yosef. We can do it. We can free ourselves from anything that stands in the way. We can do it by making a little shift. Let's make a commitment this year to do something better in the coming year. Let's take a machzor on Rosh Hashanah, whether you're in shul or not, and just be like Hannah. Pray, but pray with confidence. Pray with happiness. As much as the prayers that you know, don't worry. Try your best. Learn a little bit, study before, but pray with joy, pray with faith, pray with strength. And do what Ezra told the Jewish people to do. Sit down at a festive meal. Make it meaningful. Talk about Rosh Hashanah. Discuss with your family members the meaning of Rosh Hashanah. Make it meaningful. Make it deep. We can do it. This Rosh Hashanah will be different. This Rosh Hashanah won't be the same as last year. Because this Rosh Hashanah, with inner strength, resilience, and joy and confidence, we will make it the best Rosh Hashanah ever. And God will make it the best year ever. He will grant us, and He will bless all of you and all of us with all our families and the whole Am Yisrael and the entire world with a Shana Tova U'Metuka, a good and sweet, prosperous, healthy and happy year, but a year with meaning and purpose, and a year with tremendous and abundant joy. Shana Tova to all of you.